Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Bible in 1 Year with the Preacher's Husband. Today, we find Jacob in Genesis chapter 32, 33, and 34, and he is embarking upon a journey. He is preparing to go and meet his brother. So here's what happens. He sets out on this trip, okay? And he gets part of the way there, and he decides he's going to send some messengers ahead of him. So that way Esau is expecting him. Esau knows what's coming, and he doesn't want to catch his brother off guard at all, because remember, his brother wants him dead. So he sends his servants ahead, and he tells them, "You are to say to my lord Esau, this is what your servant Jacob says." And then he tells them the story. Now he specifically says, Lord Esau and your servant Jacob. He did that as a point of respect to basically lower himself below his brother, because he knew his brother was ticked off at him to begin with. So that's how this one starts. Once this started, he gets word back that Esau is coming towards him. So as he's traveling with his flocks, Jacob he's like, oh goodness, okay, I'm scared. Getting a little scared here. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to split us off into two groups. I'm going to have one group up front, and then this other group's going to be kind of behind. And I'm going to be in this behind group. That way, if Esau comes, because he had like 400 guys with him, if he comes and wants to attack us because he's still mad at me 20 years later after everything has happened, then at least half of us can escape that way. So that night he camps out on the other side of a river. He sends one group forward. He backs up across a river on the back side of a river. So he's got this group of people in between him and Esau, and he's got the defense of a river between him and Esau. And then he spends the night. And that is when we get to the story of Jacob wrestling with God. During the night, Jacob was left alone. In his dream, he was left alone with a man, and he wrestled with him until daybreak. Some versions say it's God. Some people believe that it's God. Some people believe it was an angel. Regardless, he was wrestling with someone. And they realized that they couldn't defeat each other. They wrestled until daybreak into a stalemate. And Jacob basically said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. What is your name? And Jacob replied, I'm Jacob. And he said, your name will no longer be Jacob. Your name from here on will be Israel. And he says that because you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed. So in other words, he struggled with men, struggled with God, and he's prevailed on both fronts. So that's why he is now going to be known as Israel, as well as his people. So then Jacob meets Esau. Esau gets to where Jacob is, and he's peaceful. So here's what happens. They run up to each other, and they hug each other. They embrace each other. And it was as if no bad had ever happened in their lives. They had basically forgiven each other. Jacob goes to give Esau a gift of a bunch of livestock and part of his flocks. And Esau's like, no, I don't want any of that. So some back and forth happens, and he finally does take it, though. And Esau says, come on, let's go. Let's come on back home with me. You can stay with me. And Jacob's like, no, you go ahead. We've got children, and we've got some babies in our flock that can't travel as fast as you're traveling. So we're going to travel real slow behind you. You just go home, and we'll travel slow. But take the gift that I gave you. So he does. But Jacob doesn't directly go to where Esau is. Instead, he goes to a place called Succoth. And Succoth just means a temporary home. He built a temporary house and a temporary stable for his flocks to live in. Temporary shelters. After that, he went to Shechem in the land of Canaan and camped out in front of a city. And he set up an altar there and called it God, the God of Israel. So that brings us to chapter 34, where Dinah is defiled. Now, Dinah is the daughter of Leah and Jacob's daughter. Now, when they got to Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, who was the region's chieftain, in other words, the chief of the region, saw Dinah, liked her, and said, I like her, I want her. He grabs her, takes her with her, and rapes her. Now, that is a horrible thing. In every culture is a horrible thing, actually. And that ticks off Jacob. He finds out about it. His sons find out about it, and they answer him very devastatingly. Jacob basically tries to work out a deal with him, saying, "Hey, we'll stay here, and we will live among you. We will become part of you. You can have our women to take as wives, and we will take your women as wives. We'll become one people, but you've got to be circumcised." So they all go about it, and they're like, "Sure, it sounds like a deal to me," because this guy wanted to marry Dinah, but that was the only way they would let him have Dinah. To marry was for them all to be circumcised. So they said yes. They all get circumcised, and while they're laying there struggling and trying to recuperate from the circumcision procedure, the two brothers, I believe it was Simeon and Levi, I believe is who they were. Yep, Simeon and Levi took their swords to the city and killed them all. So that's where we're left off, is Jacob basically said to them, "You have brought trouble on me." And then tomorrow's reading is going to be chapter 35 and through 37. 35, 36, and 37 of Genesis tomorrow. Now, comment in the comment section something that stood out to you. There was a lot going on in today's scriptures, and I know I just summarized it very, very lightly. So, comment something that stuck out to you, and I hope this has touched you. If it has, please share it. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, click the little notification jingle bell so you can get notified the next time I upload a video, and I will see you tomorrow.